Welcome to our leaders debate on the future of the cruise interior design. It's my pleasure today to be joined from Virgin Voyages by Dee Cooper.
Hello.
From Carnival Cruise Line by Petu Kamala.
Hello.
And from MSC by Trevor Young.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well and keeping safe. The first thing we'd like to discuss this afternoon is COVID adaptations. There have been many statements made in recent times in relation to adaptations to design caused by the circumstances we find ourselves in. It would be very interesting to hear your thoughts on this in relation to your involvement within the cruise industry. And first of all, I'd like to turn to Dee.
So we're in a very difficult and scary situation. Obviously, there's lots of cruise vessels laid up. Indeed, Virgin Voyages hasn't actually officially launched yet. So, I'm very, very sad at the moment. But the most important thing to us is to keep our crew safe and to keep our sailors safe in the future. So we're looking at making sure those sort of gateways to get on the ship, to go around the ship, we've increased sanitation. We've made sure that you've sort of got the information that you know where spaces on the ship are busy versus they're emptier. So it's all about making sure our crew and our sailors, our customers, feel safe. But it's difficult because we're all learning what's the right thing to do as the CDC and others change their mind on what is best practice in this pandemic.
Okay, thank you, Dee. Very sensible answer. Trevor, can I turn to you?
Yeah, sure. It's a challenge for all of us. Like we have 17 ships laid up, and actually we have one in service now. The Grandiosa is currently sailing, and also I think a couple of weeks ago, Genting started sailing one of their vessels as well. So with these new regulations and everything that are coming in, it's quite difficult. So the Grandiosa is in Italy, sailing around Italy to Italian ports for basically Italian guests. And it's a real challenge because each time you go to a different port, there's sometimes some different rules. But the whole thing is about testing. It's test, and social distancing and washing your hands, and it's what we're hearing all over the media and what we need to do. But the testing is extremely important, whether it's temperature checks, whether it's the prick on the finger test to see whether you have it or not. That is just super important, and that's what we're doing. So we've started with one ship. We'll have another ship coming soon. And obviously we're learning a lot, and I think the rest of the industry is looking at us as well to see what we're learning, to see what they can do. But as an industry as a whole, we have to work together and get it right. We have to get back into business, and we have to be successful. All of us have to be successful and get through it. But if you look at the past, when when we had Norvac virus and things like that, and occasionally there'd be a ship and there was 300 cases and it would hit the press. Now, if you went down to Miami Beach and you went and had dinner and you picked up Norvac virus, you would go home and you would be ill, and you might go and see a doctor, and that would be it, and it wouldn't hit the news. And it's highly contagious, and maybe another 400, 500, 600, 700 people got sick as well. You just don't know. But then when you're on a ship, because everyone's closer together and it is highly contagious, of course it becomes a bit more of a news item because a lot of people get sick because they're in a confined space. So this is where what we're doing with the sanitation, like what Dee was saying, there's lots of cleaning, the crew, how they are trained, how they're talking, ambassadors talking to all the passengers, making sure they're wearing masks where applicable, washing their hands where applicable, sanitizers everywhere, all over the place, if you can imagine. What we're doing to air conditioning systems, etc., etc. There's a lot going on. There's a lot being further investigated, and I'm sure even in Carnival and Virgin, we're looking at all different options and more to come.
Okay, thanks, Trevor. Petu, perhaps you have some thoughts on this as well?
Yeah, I mean, what Trevor and Dee said, and I mean, from the design point of view, then, whatever we end up doing, we then have to make sure we'll do it in a way that it, let's say it looks cool and it's very comfortable for our guests, and like, let's say, existing hand washing stations and things like that, so that it doesn't look like an afterthought. It's then our responsibility to make them work in a way that is very comfortable, ergonomic, and then looks really, really cool. And I think, that's where we're studying all kind of different ways to do those things.
And it's interesting, yes, the guests, like listening to the operations, and in our first week, the guests are very receptive to everything that we're doing, and they don't have an issue with it, because today it's the new normal. Like, yes. I don't know, do any of us we don't leave the house without a mask in our pocket today, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
That's right.
Where's my phone? Where's my keys? And now it's where's my phone, keys, and mask.
That's right.
See, that's the thing. Like the masks now you have designer masks. I mean, they used to be just a hospital-looking mask, but they look cool now. They still work the same way, but it's made to actually be like an accessory.
I'm sure Virgin's mask is going to be good.
Yeah, designers got involved and they make them hip and cool, But yeah.
No, it's right. And I think, because ultimately we all know that, we have to make sure that the system works within these sort of constraints. But ultimately, when you sit down in a restaurant, you still want to have an amazing meal with great service, whether the waiters have a mask on or not. We we all demand a great holiday and a great service. So what we have to do is make sure that our guests feel safe going to those environments, but ultimately we still have to deliver the great holiday experience that the cruise industry is all about.
And we have to have the protocols that if someone does become ill, crew or passengers, to have the correct protocols to look after them and to make sure that
keep them safe.
They're safe, and the rest of the passengers are safe until we can get to the next port or whatever to take them to hospital or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and that's where communication, I think, is, as we know, is also very, very important. That we can tell people what's going on, whether it's them as individual, their family, but equally the whole of the ship, because the reality of today's world is, people want to know, and it's up to us as the cruise line to make sure people are informed, so that they're reassured and they're not scared of the situation.
Exactly.
Okay, so it seems there are many, many things that we're going to have to consider and implement in the time to come. And perhaps going back to Petu's point there, it's also the designer's responsibility to ensure that there is little negative impact on the design as possible. Well, let's move on to the next point now, which is COVID positives. The current situation we find ourselves in is unprecedented, and the terrible effect it is having on the world around us. If we are to look for positives, which we can take from it, what do you think these could be? And perhaps if I could turn to Petu first.
Well, I mean, what we're doing now is certainly one of them. I mean, Andy, you're in Scotland, and me and Dee are in Miami, and Trevor is in the UK. I mean, we're conducting meetings and seminars remotely, and that's something that, I mean, it was done a little bit before COVID, but now it really became the reality. So that's definitely a positive. And I mean, I think it has made us connect even more. I'm having discussions with fellow colleagues, and someone is in Australia and something like, so we're having these global get-togethers and meetings in this sort of a new way now, which I think is having a great impact, and I'm sure that will continue. It's definitely one of the positives that's come out of this.
Yeah. Dee, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I agree with. How many of us are? I've got one of my team members is on the ship, on our second ship at the moment, and we're doing loads of video calls with him showing us stuff that's going on, and we're making reviews and approving stuff. So I think, you know, the reality of being able to work from home or work, you know, sometimes in the office, sometimes at home, sometimes on site as we need to as creatives, has become much more robust. And I think we've all become much more familiar and confident in doing it. I think the irony is that I think as designers, we probably were one of the first teams to sort of venture back in the office, because you have to go and look at the samples and check stuff, and you know, so we'll never lose that need. But you know, definitely it's a really nice flexible way of working. The other side for me, though, I think, is building on what Trevor said in the first earlier question about norovirus. Is, you know, ships have been looking after people through difficult situations, and keeping the ship clean and things like that. So I hope that that will, you know, as the future goes on, the industry will be recognised from that. And I know some of the things we've done on Virgin, we've sort of invested in fresh air systems, which obviously air circulation, as we know, is really, really good with the virus. So, you know, that's to benefit all of us. And it doesn't really matter if it's coronavirus or just our normal lives. Having more filtered air, more circulating air is good for us all, you know, and indeed being able to enjoy the outside of the ship, because being at sea, I mean, as my mother would say, breathe in that fresh air. You know, literally, that's what she told me.
Yeah, it's a salty air too.
Salty,
yeah, no, it's, to me, the benefits is that, like we've all agreed, but working from home has been, it's allowed me to get a lot of work done, because I know when I was in the office with so many staff, my office was like a revolving door. Now I have a revolving computer, so people are calling me on Teams, WhatsApp, Zoom, whatever, to talk. So it allows me to get some work done, which is quite nice. Excuse me, I don't think it's COVID, but anyway, excuse me. And that's been great. Less travel has been fantastic. For example, like talking to our accountant and our financial controller, like my travel budget's been cut to 12.5% of what it used to be, which is amazing, and it's fine, and we can do it. So now I'm moving people for longer term because of all the quarantine rules. So we have to adjust the way we work. It allows people to get more training on different areas that they wouldn't have normally had, and it is also allowing them to, like myself, I get 8 hours sleep a night now. I can't remember when I had 8 hours sleep before, but now I do every night. It's amazing.
You mean you don't have jet lag? You don't have jet lag from not flying around the world?
Yeah, but we do have early meetings though. Like we're having a lot of meetings with PR, and here in Finland we are building our Mardi Gras at the moment, and that's the 7 hours ahead of us. So we start our meetings like 5, 6 a.m. Miami time. So that sort of a jet lag, not really, but and it's still a lot easier than the real jet lag, but it is kind of.
It's interesting because you know, my partner works for an Asian company, so she'll be awake at 2 or 3 in the morning for meetings, and then my meetings start at 9 and go all day. So she finishes by midday, and then I'm sort of going into the night. So that takes a bit of adjusting to, but you know, the coffee machine's a lot closer than it was in the office. That's for sure. So
and I do love the commute. I have to say that. I love the commute.
Sometimes it's late. You know.
Yeah.
You have to find your.
I think it's very much in conclusion to that question that actually we've started to implement things that have made our lives better, have given positives to how we live our lives, how our colleagues live their lives, and also how we operate things. So things which perhaps would have happened anyway are happening sooner. But for I mean, I agree with Trevor. My personal point is that I communicate with my staff very easily, and the great thing is my staff have had more time. They've had more time off. They're not doing the London commuting. people are saving a considerable amount of time. And it may be that we move into this new normal, that staff maybe only work 3-4 days in the office and have more time off, and it's time that they get off, which becomes a better quality of life for them. So there definitely are positives that are coming out of this.
Yeah.
No, I see that, and especially with designers that need to, sit down and concentrate and work on something, and not to have that craziness going on around you is quite good. So 3-4 days a week in the office and 1 or 2 days a week at working from home, I think will be a real positive coming out of this, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who's spent a considerable amount of time flying around the world over the last 20 years, and I actually look at it and think how much of that time was required. I went for a 2-hour meeting, a 3-hour meeting. Whereas if we embrace video conferencing moving forward, then we will save this time, and we all have to embrace it. And we all have to use it to its fullest.
And as we know, it's not just about time; it's also about the planet and sustainability. Yeah. And I know a lot of us think about that from our cruise line perspective, but actually, us not flying and us not driving up the I-95 or wherever it is beneficial to the planet. And I think hopefully we'll learn from that, and look after the world, as it were.
Not driving on I-95 has done good to my blood pressure, I can tell you that. But I have to say, like, from design point of view, the early, like the concept phases where you're really like throwing out ideas and sketching, and that's when you really need still to have that human contact, to be in
yeah, you do.
And really, but then once you get more into the front work of that, then you do it remotely, and it doesn't affect it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been developing some projects where we having a meeting every day at 5 o'clock with a client, and it very much got the client's involvement. Rather than having a meeting every week or every month, by talking to them every day, it really helped the design to develop, because there was just a constant communication. And that's where I first really saw the benefit of using video conferencing, and talking and seeing each other every day, and also drawing on the screen, showing work quickly, showing sketches, showing planning. So there's a huge positive will come out of that.
Yeah, we're lucky that this happened when we had the technology available, that's for sure. If it happened 10 years ago, we'd be scratching our heads and running for fax machines, but okay, maybe emails.
You were using fax machines 10 years ago?
Yeah, they still were.
Yeah.
Like, you get a prescription today, you have to send it by fax. It's crazy.
Oh, it's emailed.
That's true.
That's England.
I think we've all found positives out of this, and I'm sure our fellow colleagues will be finding positives. And I'm sure as we move into the future, we will make everything more efficient and benefit from these from what we've learned. Okay, moving on to the next question: future outlook. I think we all agree that the industry shall continue to develop. However, it may be that there are certain aspects of it which shall be improved to the actual benefit of the overall experience. I'd be interested in your personal understanding and experience of such items. And if I could turn to Trevor, first of all.
Do you mean in related to COVID, out of the COVID experience?
Well, it's coming out of the COVID experience, but it's also just future outlook.
I think the future is incredibly bright. I think the future will work closely together, like with CLIA and so on. We already work close together. I think we'll work even closely, especially when it comes to things like pandemics and disease and things like that, and how we can help each other with technology and information. I think that's a real positive. I think for the guest experience, I honestly think there will be a complete rethink, and I'm sure they're doing that at Virgin, but a complete rethink on how people embark and disembark the ship. So what's required, how many touch points are required, how technology can be used to help, whether it's how you check in and giving your face, look at your photograph and so on for the computer system and things like that, and your passport and checking your passport and so on, all the way through to taking your temperature and how that's done. and I think it'll become a lot more seamless, and I think it'll be hugely beneficial to the guest. And then when you get on board the ship, of course, it'll be similar. Like everyone's delving into technology, but as we've seen from this COVID crisis, all of a sudden we're all experts at Zoom and Teams and whatever. A week before I went home, Teams was something that we were about to start using, and we will use it. A week after we're all at home, we're all pretty well experts at Teams and how it works. And I said this will force us to use technology in a way that will it'll force us to do it faster. It'll force the technology developers to develop it faster, and it can only help us and our guests and our crew.
Okay, interesting. Petu, could I turn to you in this point?
I mean, I think just to kind of add, I mean, I think to any travel, what you don't want to do is to wait in line. I mean, that's the worst part of it. Well, you know, so
Yes.
checking out, because even like in air travel now, you have passport apps and things like that, you know, for immigration and you know, those things that you used to be standing there in line for 2 hours to come into Miami, for example, and then now you just go through the checking machine, and it's really quick. So I think, yeah, like Trevor said, that's going to be something which is just going to make the overall experience much better, because you don't have to do that. And I mean, obviously then the technology already booking your table in a restaurant or things like that, you do it with the mobile app and things like that. So it's going to be part of that. So I mean, I think that in the end will be something that's just going to enhance the whole experience, because it's all part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, at Virgin, we've been very much sort of inspired by, as you say, things like booking a restaurant as you used to do pre-COVID on your app, and enjoying the fact that you didn't have to queue, or you could do things just in time, or if you were a planner, you could plan it in advance, and you know, having all the data there on this app and making that the way we use Google Maps, the way we use OpenTable, the way we use, delivery services. And, you know, we sort of were inspired by that, and we built a lot of that onto the ship. We have a sort of fun app called Shake for Champagne, where you literally shake your phone, and the app knows you're shaking it, and we deliver you champagne on the ship. Now, that was done from a service point of view, but obviously from a COVID and for reassurance of where's busy on the ship, where's quieter on the ship, or I need to go and talk to someone in guest services or sailor services, as we call it. You know, you can make it much more interactive, and so you don't have to do the dreaded queue. So that, you know, it's exciting that technology will move forward to the benefit of service and this safer environment for everybody.
Okay, so technology seems to be the main topic that we were bringing up here, and how that will improve the guest experience in time to come. Perhaps moving on to new concepts. There has been a tremendous new build program at the current point in time. And yes, it may be that some projects shall be affected. However, there's still a host of wonderful new design concepts which shall be introduced to a very excited market. In relation to the different brands you represent, what new concepts shall you be introducing, and why? And Dee, if I could turn to you first.
Well, we've got a brand new ship with a brand new brand, with a brand new customer experience. You know, taking the best from what the cruise industry offers, you know, an amazing holiday at sea, and executing it with a more boutique hotel, modern, sort of, we talk about, from a creative point of view, we talk about the modern romance of sailing. How do we bring back some of those sort of inspirations from the famous the ship movies and execute it in a bang up to date, relevant way to all our consumers? And I think, you know, we know that people are demanding more. They're demanding choice. They're demanding flexibility. They're demanding great design. They're demanding style and fun. And we've tried to offer that on board the ship, and I can't wait to show it to you all. That's the big thing.
Fantastic. Sounds very exciting. Petu, what are you up to at Carnival?
Well, we're actually in a very exciting stage of building a ship, as we are 3-4 months away from the delivery of our biggest ever ship in the fleet, called Mardi Gras.
Wow.
So we're very busy with that, and it's now you're starting to see all the interiors getting in place, taking shape. So your designs are becoming a reality. So it's definitely the time that we are really excited about waiting. And I mean, for anything new we're introducing, I don't think I need to say anything else about the roller coaster. We're gonna have the first roller coaster ever in sea. It's called Bolt. So that's something that's definitely up there. But still, like what Dee was saying, what the cruise industry, cruise ships have is the sea, and it's the moving scenery, which you can't get anywhere else. So I mean, like, besides having a roller coaster, I mean, we have this beautiful aft area called Summer Landing, where you have the aft weight of the ship going when you're sailing by, and you can sit there, have a cocktail, and it's hard to beat that. So I don't think that ever changes, and it's not new to have the ocean view on a ship and that, but the area itself is maybe a little bit different. But that's something that's very, very old, as long as people have sailed, but it's still one of the top things you can do always. But there's a lot there in that ship also that we are super excited about. But those were just something that definitely are one of the highlights.
Okay, so as we return to our new normal, there will be much for people to look forward to and new experiences to enjoy.
I think there'll be a lot. Like we've, at MSC, we have about 10 new builds on the books that are confirmed, that have contracts. So we have a lot of work to do, and there will be a lot of new idea and innovative ideas. Of course, I can't rattle them off. We can't share them. It's a lot of that you can't talk about at this stage. But I think you'll find that now, post-COVID, and as we live through COVID, that the attention to detail and the different outlets that we have on board the ship will become a lot more prevalent. The service standards will increase, because I think we're all assuming, especially at the beginning stage, that there will be less passengers on board our vessels because of social distancing and things like that. Now, as we work through the pandemic and come out the other side, that's of course a question that no one can really answer. So, but at the end of the day, you can have a lot of gadgets and great things, which we all have, but if you don't get the right service and good food and good accommodation, then it's not going to work. And we all offer that. We all offer great accommodation. It's to a really high standard, and the service is always improving, and the food is always improving as well. And that will get very, very refined and very, very focused on, I think, moving forward. As designers, we like new gadgets and toys and so on, but at the end of the day, you can have an old ship. Like I remember when I worked for a different company, they bought the QE2. The amount of loyal passengers that were loyal to the QE2 and filled it all the time was amazing. I was shocked.
Tremendous, yeah.
When you go on board the vessel, it was the rooms were very 1960s, 1970s style of cruise ship room, which is very small, very tight. Not like today, which are quite spacious, and today you have king size beds and showers, and you can and your own bathrooms and things like that. Back in those days, a lot of the rooms didn't have that, but they had this amazing loyal clientele, and that's where I think it'll go more in the future. It'll be the service and food, and obviously with the design, which can help that.
And it is all the overall experience. It's if the food is not good, doesn't matter how the design is, or if the design is not good, doesn't matter how the food is or the service. I mean, it's a whole experience, and I mean, that's what we do a lot. We talk our operators, and it's an overall experience. It's not just one sector of it, design or food or all of them.
It's got to come together. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, we've seen, you know, through doing sort of research that everyone wants, you know, they want to come back cruising as soon as the CDC will let us, and you know, they want to come back cruising, and we have lots of untapped demand because it's an amazing holiday. So you know, can't wait for it to happen.
Sooner the better.
Okay, so I'm sure we can all agree the future is very exciting during these difficult times. Okay, well, we've been chatting generally there about things which are affected by the current situation. The last point we'd like to talk about is we've spoken about completed design, and one thing that I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and experience on is the actual concept design procedure. This is incredibly important as the design. Sorry, this is incredibly important as it is the designer's opportunity to give his clients an insight into the understanding of the concept. These wonderful presentations use many formats, with the continual development of virtual reality renderings being very important. Perhaps, Petu, you could give me an insight into your experience with this.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something that plays a big role in today's design with this technology we have. In fact, in Mardi Gras, we have this atrium, which is a multi-use space. I mean, there's entertainment, there's food, there's cafes, and it's a very complicated dimensional space. So we did a 3D, like a virtual world out of it. So I mean, we were able to show it to our upper management and entertainers and so forth. So they were actually able to walk in that space and really experience it and get a better idea. Same with the cabins. We didn't have that in the past. We were doing sketches and then drawings and material boards, but now you can actually do a photorealistic rendering. So then, you know, your client, whoever you're presenting it to, you know, they're able to see it. And also the guests, you know, they can see in our website, they see the renderings already ahead of time. So they see how the designs will look like and get excited about it. So it's a tremendous tool that we have now. And I mean, now you can do that through remote, like what we are doing now. You can actually share it via internet, which in the past was impossible. I mean, it doesn't replace still the sort of the meaning of design, and we still start with hand sketching and kind of develop from there. But it's certainly something that the client, whether it's upper management of the company or somebody else who you're designing for, they will have a full understanding what they are getting already before it's done. So it's a very important tool nowadays.
It's interesting you say that, because the thing is that all of us on this call now, we can all look at a two-dimensional drawing.
Yeah.
We can build it in 3D in our head because we've been
taught. Yes.
We're taught. We understand how that works. Most of the people that I talk to in operations, and including the executive manager, they don't have that ability. So
no, they don't.
Virtual thing, like I've set up a department just with that, and it's absolutely amazing what they can dish out. Like, and you're saying Petu, when it comes to the anatomy, maybe 3 or 4 levels and so many different rooms in and out. We have a dog.
There's a virtual dog, I think.
Sorry, I couldn't work out how to turn mute off. Sorry,
see,
Trevor.
this is one of the positives. Your animals and kids and whatever, they come into your meetings.
The most intelligent comment we've had so far.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
Sorry, Trevor, I apologize.
It also helps because, you know, a lot of the designers, sometimes some of our designers will design for design's sake and not look at the functionality of it. And by looking at something in 3D and with goggles or just moving it on a screen and walking around the area, then your operations people, with the photorealistic, like you said, Patty, your operations people can look at it and say, well, actually, no, that's not going to work. And that edge is going to be too sharp. And we need to put a light there. And where am I going to put my glass of water next to the bed, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a whole lot of things that we can help. And it will also help us speed up the whole design process. So you don't have to wait for the full mock-up to to be able to really critique something properly with the executive management, because they don't understand the drawings. Now you can have this virtual mock-up, so when you do get to the full mock-up, hopefully it's just 1 or 2 points and it's a nice big tick, because you've done the hard grunt already beforehand in a faster, more efficient way.
Dee, you must have had some wonderful presentations during the development of your products.
Yeah, I mean, we had great fun. And I was going to take on from Trevor's point. We all know it's so much easier to change a design when it's in drawings or virtual reality. You know, once you're on site, once you've done all your construction drawings, once you've got builders, contractors, it's expensive and it's annoying and it's frustrating for everybody involved. So the more you can do to make sure everybody's confident and happy with the design when it's still in drawing stage, whether it's physical drawing on paper or drawings on computers, the better for the design process. So for me, virtual reality is very much part of the design process, whether it's 2D renders, 3D rendering. I personally am a great believer in mocking things up as well, because we know that the beauty is in the detail. You know, we mocked up cabins, we mocked up stair details, because you've got to construct it and you've got to make sure that everybody's happy with the way it's detailed and finished. But exactly as Trevor says, if you're from operations or you're from the exec team, you have to, pictures tell 1,000 words. And Andy, as you say, I had to present, you know, 46 different areas on a ship that had never been built, and persuade everybody that this was the right solution. You know, I'm very proud that we did set up a really robust way of doing rendering and presenting to our executive team. And indeed, you know, we use those images on the website. And when we've replaced the images on the website, almost you're a little playing spot the difference. What's the render and what's reality? And in many occasions, the reality looks better, which is a really exciting place to be. But yeah, we were good renderers by the end of it. I used to call us a design factory, as we were sort of handing over designs. As we all know, building ships is tremendous. We just were approving, you know, 3-4 areas, you know, every couple of weeks. We were very busy, and it was great fun because we were make sure it was right. Brand new experience of Virgin Voyages.
But really, the markup, I mean, I mean, I'm a big believer of markups too, and I mean that usually enables you to make things, you know, so that you can build them easier. It's not only for us to see how our designs look, but also
both sides.
To develop in and, you know, something that's very complicated, then you find a way to build it more cost effective. And then for rendering for that, because we have sometimes a mock-up where, because you're only showing a little, and somebody might look at it and, oh, this, are you hearing Andy's noise? Anyway, so that, like,
and in a wind tunnel, I think.
This room looks really dark, for example.
So I can still hear you.
Yeah, so you're only looking at a little part of the room. So like, you know, like, calm down. It's not the dark room. It's a small part of it, and then you can demonstrate it in the rendering that we're only looking at this part of the room, not the entire design. So then that could be explained in that way.
But the devil's in the detail, of course. This is where the mock-ups are very handy, of course. But to me, I need to, what I call, make the missing link happy. Now, we've always got lots of designers in new building, and we've got the executive, and we've got all the different people in operations, but it's the end person that's going to run that department, like the head of food and beverage, that is going to make this area work. I call them the missing link, because in most companies they're not that prevalent, or that maybe that good. But if you've got the right missing link, then we can build and design anything that they want. You just need the right information in the first place, and then you can move forward.
Good. I mean, I must just drop in at SMC at the moment. We've obviously gone from, over the last 30 years, from hand sketching to computer visuals, and we now have a system where we design entire areas, and then we can put on goggles and we can bring clients into a space, and they can move throughout the space, and we can show them every angle that, as Petru says, you're not just showing one corner, you're actually being able to see the entire area.
Yeah. You can change the material and color by pressing a button, and you know, wow. You know.
Also that, yeah, you're right.
But we know you in effect, you have two parallel parts, don't you? We have jobs to deliver great designs with all the thought and detailing and beauty that needs. And in parallel, we have a job to communicate the design and check it works for the operations and check that the execs are happy with it. So it's a two-phase story, isn't it?
And cost effective, and you know, the list goes on.
There's a lot to it.
It's the total package that it all has to come together.
Yeah.
Very good. Anyway, it's been incredibly interesting to listen to your current thoughts on our industry. And yes, we're having to deal with different times, which are affecting all of our lives in many different ways. Could I ask you to perhaps briefly summarize your thoughts on moving forward? And first turn to Trevor.
Moving forward, I think the industry has an extremely bright future. I think the industry will become this safe version of a holiday. It'll be a safe location because of the amount of testing that we'll all do. We're at the beginning of that now, but I think as we move through it, I think we'll become the holiday vacation of choice for a lot of people. And I can only see brightness in front of us. We have a difficult time now, but as we all know in this industry, when you have a difficult time, you bounce out of it and you come back even stronger. And I strongly believe that this is what's going to happen with us, with the cruise industry.
Thank you, Trevor. Dee, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think, I mean, it is a very sad and difficult situation we're all in at the moment, and you know, projects being stopped, people being furloughed. It's all very, very scary. And I mean, ultimately, the work will come back, and the sailors, the customers will come back. We're just in a sort of hibernation phase for now. But I mean, the learnings from looking after people, looking after our staff, being connected across our crew, whether shoreside or on the ship, we all know is so important. And I think the pandemic has brought that more to the front, and technology has allowed us to do it better. It is a great holiday, and ships are a great experience. And we just want to get out there and sailing the Scarlet Lady for Virgin Voyages. I know that you'll all love her, so let it come back.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing her. And finally, to Petru.
Yeah, I mean, I think because we all work in an industry to make people happy. I mean, that's something we're, I think, very fortunate. And our guests, they're spending maybe their most valuable asset on us, their free time, which is a tremendous responsibility. And I think that's what maybe that's what drives us to give them the best holiday they can. And I am fully confident, and that's what we'll keep doing, and that's what we've been doing in the past. So I think, like already has been said, that when you go through different times, you learn different things. And I mean, as an end result, whatever you do it even better. And I think that's what we are going to do as well.
Okay. So I think we shall continue to work together within this industry to ensure that all existing projects reach a successful completion, and we shall consider and implement all new elements which may be introduced, but never at the detriment of design or the guest's experience. Correct. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you all today from the heart of the Scottish Highlands. Sorry for the technical slip up at the beginning. I'd like to thank you for taking part in the seminar, and I hope you all stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.